Alright, welcome to our first video inside Photoshop. In this video I'm not going to talk about any tools that we're going to be using, but I do want to add a bunch of the functionality and panels that I use whenever I'm creating web graphics. When we first open up the latest version of Photoshop, we can see our start screen. Now my start screen might look slightly different than yours. You can see here that I have some files that I've recently been working on. But in the top right corner, click on the little drop down menu that says Start and scroll up until you can find Essentials. This is going to be the starting point for our own custom workspace. Before we do anything, we need to open a new document. So under the File menu, select New. Now it doesn't matter what kind of document you open, anything will do, so I'm just going to go ahead and click the OK button. And now I can see my white artboard. We'll talk more about setting up a new document in a future video. The first thing I want to do is I want to show my rulers because I need to know how big things are going to be. So under the View menu, select Rulers. Now before I click on Rulers, I just want to show you that to the right hand side of any option is the keyboard shortcut for that tool. So my keyboard shortcut for rulers is Command R. I'm on a Mac. A Windows machine would be Control R. Now you can see both vertical and horizontal rulers. Let's make sure we're using the right unit of measurement by right-clicking on one of these rulers to bring up its menu. Since we're making web graphics for screens, let's make sure it's set to pixels. The first panel I want to have quick access to is the Info panel. So under the Window option, select Info. You can see that the Info panel has partnered itself up with the Properties panel, and they've made their home over here in this collapsible bar. I can quickly hide or fly this panel open by pushing the double arrows here or by clicking on the icon. The Info panel is really good at giving me specific information. You can see here that there is an eyedropper tool that will display both RGB and CMYK color values to me if I hover my cursor over any part of the artboard. Below that, the X and Y coordinates are telling me exactly where my cursor is on my artboard. If I had any vector graphics or shapes on this layer, I could see their width and height. If you're trying to create pixel perfect graphics, the Info panel will quickly become one of your favorite tools. The next set of tools that I want are all for editing text. Click on the Window option and select Character. Now the Character panel comes with the Paragraph panel, and you can see here that the Character panel looks a lot like a character panel you might see in another piece of software. You can select your typeface, font size, leading, color, and so on. A panel very similar to this that I like to have is the Character Styles panel. So under Window, select Character Styles. Now if you're familiar with InDesign, it's the same thing. Again, with the Character Styles panel comes the Paragraph Styles panel. These tools will allow you to very quickly edit the way that text is displayed. Utilizing this panel will most likely be your biggest time saver. Now these panels that I just added, I only fly them open as I need them. I like to save a big chunk of real estate for these panels over here, especially my Layers, Channels, and Paths panels. Now this workspace is looking pretty good to me, and I'd like to save this workspace so I can access it quickly for any future projects. So go up under Window, Workspace, and select New Workspace. Now this isn't going to give me a new workspace. This is going to allow me to save the workspace I currently have. Now I've got a couple options here in this bar. If I've set any of my own keyboard shortcuts or menus or customized my toolbar, my new properties are going to come with this workspace that I'm going to save. So I'm just going to rename this workspace. Untitled 1 doesn't really tell me anything. I'm going to call this My Web Workspace and click Save. Watch what happens up here in the top right hand corner of my screen. Now I've got this new workspace that I can quickly access at any time. Clicking on this, I can actually go back to Essentials. Now you're not going to see any changes because this is my new Essentials, but if I reset Essentials, you can see that I'm now back to the bare bones Essentials workspace that I had when we first started. And if I go back to my web workspace, now I've got those customized tools back. As you start using these tools more, you may find that you're using some of the other tools more and some of the ones that I like less, and that's totally fine. My workflow process isn't perfect. Nobody's is. There's 1,000,001 ways to do anything in Photoshop. So as you get more comfortable, feel free to change your workspace with your process needs.